It still feels unreal that we're even reporting about this. Tributes continuing to pour in for actor Matthew Perry, the beloved Friends actor who died over the weekend. A growing memorial lies on the corner of Bedford and Grove Streets in the Village, where the iconic Friends building is located and where fans from all over the world came to pay their respects.
We are very sad to be here, especially at this time, so we wanted to pay some respect, pray for him.
It's just sad to know that he's not here to make people smile anymore.
I think that he molded an entire generation, and everybody in Mexico knows about Matthew Perry.
Joining us this morning to share more about the life and legacy of Matthew Perry is our pop culture insider, Josh McBride. So, Josh, good to see you this morning. So, we're talking about this, which was kind of really alarming to so many people this weekend. The medical examiner, let's start there, right, says that more tests need to be done to determine the cause of death because a lot of people are speculating about a lot of things because he had some struggles in the past. Important to note that they have to determine the cause of death first. What do we know so far?
Yeah, we do know. I love what you just said. So many people are speculating. He did, we know, and has been very open about having a drug issue, abuse issue. But we're not sure, and I think it's really important to know not to speculate at this point. A lot of people are saying, oh, well, there was prescriptions found in the house, but there's prescriptions found in my house, my mom's house, my friend's house. I mean, when you're sick, we know that he suffered with COPD, so there was prescriptions that help you, of course, open up your lungs and things like that. So nothing that was a red flag specifically. Dan, we also know that toxicology takes several weeks to get done. So this, we might not have a full answer for maybe a month or two.
I mean, so many people that worked and loved him so much are coming out and talking about their relationships with them, like Frank Azaria, who was one of his dearest friends. Can you talk about what their relationship was like? Because he was even talking about how painful it was reading his autobiography.
This was a beautiful tribute that he did on his Instagram today. If you remember, he actually, Hank, of course, the Simpsons actor, was, they were very close friends at a young age. So he was 21. I was going to say Chandler. Matthew Perry was 16. They did a pilot together. Never saw the light of day, he mentions, but he talks about how Perry was the funniest man he knew. And then also, I love this part about it, that he actually had walked him into AA. Perry had walked Azaria into AA and stayed with him, going to meetings for about a year together. So if you watch this video, it's a really beautiful tribute. It was about a 2-minute tribute. We haven't heard, and as a side note, he actually played David. If you are a Friends fan, he dated Phoebe on Friends for a couple episodes. This was one of the most beautiful tributes I've seen. We haven't heard much from the actual Friends cast. Now, what I will say is a source did tell me that they are putting together a joint statement that I think should be released today. But, you know, not for nothing, but like, this should have happened yesterday from them. You know, we've heard from Maggie Wheeler, who of course played Janice on Friends. We've heard from Kathleen Turner, who of course played Chandler's dad, and then of course the number of other actors.
And the creator of Friends came out with something
of course, and NBC themselves.
NBC. So it was, I wasn't sure whether they were going to come out individually or I guess they're doing it as a group. But let's talk about the last photo that he posted on Instagram was him in a hot tub, which is what is being rumored that he drowned. Accidental drowning is what is being reported right now. So it's just an eerie connection to that post from a week ago.
Isn't that crazy? He had come home from a pickleball match game, and it was a 2-hour time that he was playing there. We found out also in a recent interview, I believe that just came out this morning with People magazine, that he actually had a pickleball coach. And the pickleball coach said at this country club that Perry attended pretty often, that the pickleball coach said this kept him on the straight and narrow. So him being so obsessed with pickleball, which so many people are saying, really kept him clean.
Something I also thought that was very poignant about him was that he wanted to be remembered for more than just being on Friends and for what he did to help others.
I love that he said this. He actually said this in an interview, and he said, you know, before you remember Friends, remember me for the person that creates hope and empowerment. And I love that because he wrote this great book where he starts on the first page, and I want to get the quote right, where he says, "Hi, my name is Maddie, and I should be dead." Right? Empowering those. He also has helped a number of strangers, he talks about, where they've come up to him and say, how can you help me? Right? Like he needed, although he was struggling himself and had struggled for many years, he talks about how many strangers have felt comfortable enough to come to him to ask for help. So when I was talking about this, and I've been talking about it all weekend, I think that he should be remembered for 2 things. I think the first one, of course, being humor. You know, he would maybe say something else. You know, enlightening those, you know, other people to laugh and on a sad day. But then a big important one is hope. And I think that he gave a lot of people that, especially those with addiction problems.
Well, that's all part of the legacy, right? That goes down as the legacy here. And speaking of the book, it's a top 10 bestseller right now on Amazon, not only because of his passing, but because it only came out a year ago. Right. And that book was super real, raw, painful. Hank Azario said it was actually a real difficult read for him too. Yeah. But he talks about not only a few dozen times in getting treatment, but over 40 times.
Yeah, I believe, just to clarify some numbers here, 15 times in rehab, wow. 65 times in detox. He also talks about how he would go on Sundays to open houses. And this is crazy. This hasn't been covered too much. Where he said this in an interview where he went to open houses on Sundays and would go to the bathroom in the medicine cabinet and take the people's prescription drugs and then leave. And then no one would. And he said, you know, no one would think it was Chandler doing this, but he was at that point of addiction. Also, he talks about forgetting, not remembering at all 3 seasons of filming Friends, and then the season that he remembers the most, he actually won the Emmy for.
Wow. Oh, well, that's wonderful. You know, we had an interview on one of the pieces that our McGee Hickey did, talking to fans of his, and one of them actually said that she read his autobiography and talked about how he did bring hope, and so he really did make the impact that I think he really wanted so desperately to have.
Yeah, that hope that he wanted to empower among so many other people, I think is really important, is the takeaway. Before we start speculating and things like that, let's leave it with humor and hope.
Yeah. All right, Josh McBride, good to have you here to talk about this and kind of lay it all out. Keep us posted on what you know from your inside scoop, all right?